20 million barrels of oil squeezed through a passage just 21 nautical miles wide every day. War between Iran and the United States wouldn't stay between them. It would ripple outward, and the first casualties wouldn't be military. A confrontation between the United States and Iran in today's world would not be limited to military exchanges or battlefield victories. Instead, the crisis would send shockwaves through neighboring countries, disrupt trade routes, and unsettle entire populations. While the main actors are two powerful state systems, the consequences would stretch far beyond their borders. Instability would spill into the region, pushing refugees across frontiers and straining the resources of nearby states. Global trade, especially the flow of oil and gas, would slow or reroute, driving up costs and threatening economic stability worldwide. The effects would be felt in cities far from the Gulf, as energy prices and supply chains react to turmoil at the source. Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, and Oman form a tight arc along the Gulf, each one positioned within reach of the conflict's first shockwaves. Their coastal cities and industrial zones, from Dammam and Al-Khobar in Saudi Arabia to Fujairah in the United Arab Emirates and Mina al-Ahmadi in Kuwait, cluster near vital ports and energy infrastructure. These sites lie within a few hundred kilometers of the Gulf's narrowest corridors, where even a limited exchange can disrupt daily life. Airspace over the region becomes a risk zone, with commercial flights rerouted or grounded, and airports like Kuwait International facing direct threats. Iraq, connected to the Gulf by the Al-Faw Peninsula, sits at the edge of this ring, exposed to spillover through both military action and refugee flows. U.S. military facilities, such as Naval Support Activity Bahrain and Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, draw additional attention, making host countries vulnerable to missile and drone strikes. Civilian populations face the prospect of sudden displacement as damaged infrastructure and interrupted supply chains force families to leave homes near the waterfront. The economic pulse of these Gulf states, built on port traffic, energy exports, and industrial output, can falter quickly when the region's stability is shaken. The Strait of Hormuz forms a narrow passage between the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman, stretching about 104 miles from end to end. At its tightest point, the strait measures only 21 nautical miles across, forcing ships into a confined corridor with little margin for error. Navigation relies on two parallel shipping lanes, each roughly 2 nautical miles wide and separated by a safety buffer to prevent collisions. Every day, massive oil tankers and liquefied natural gas carriers line up to make the crossing, with a typical transit taking between 7 and 8 hours from entry to exit. The strait's depth allows the world's largest vessels to pass, but its geography leaves no alternative for most Gulf exports. This single choke point funnels nearly a third of global seaborne oil and a fifth of all liquefied natural gas, making it one of the most strategically sensitive waterways on the planet. Every day, nearly 20 million barrels of crude oil leave the Gulf through a single maritime corridor. That same passage carries about 20% of the world's liquefied natural gas, linking Qatar's export terminals to buyers in Europe and Asia. The strait's narrowness and proximity to Iran's coast make it highly sensitive, with Iranian missile batteries and patrol boats on one side and U.S. naval forces on the other. There is no real substitute for this route. Pipelines across Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates can only handle a fraction of the normal flow, and longer shipping detours add weeks and significant cost. The world's energy supply depends on keeping this channel open. Oil markets have learned to react fast when the Gulf turns unstable. In 1979, the Iranian Revolution cut world crude supply by nearly 5%, sending Brent prices soaring and fueling gasoline shortages from New York to Tokyo. During the late 1980s, missile and mine attacks on tankers forced insurers to double war risk premiums as Operation Earnest Will tried to keep shipping lanes open but could not erase the threat. The 1990 Gulf War saw oil prices almost double within weeks, triggering stock market losses around the globe. After 2018, U.S. sanctions slashed Iran's exports, pushing more barrels onto shadow fleets and raising volatility in freight and futures. Each episode left a deep imprint on trading desks, shipping contracts, and the risk models that now drive split-second market moves. Disruption in the Gulf sends immediate shockwaves through the world economy. Oil and liquefied natural gas prices react within hours as traders anticipate shortages and scramble to secure future supplies. War risk insurance premiums surge as underwriters factor in the danger of missile attacks, mines, or vessel detention. Shipping companies pass these higher costs to buyers, raising freight rates for every barrel and cargo container that leaves the region. Rerouted tankers, forced to travel around Africa's Cape of Good Hope, face weeks of added journey time and significant fuel expenses, pushing landed prices even higher. Import-dependent economies in East Asia, Europe, and parts of Africa feel the squeeze almost immediately. Many rely on Gulf oil and liquefied natural gas for electricity, transport, and manufacturing. As supply chains slow and energy costs rise, industries from chemicals to food processing face higher input prices. Financial markets reprice risk, with stock indices falling and inflation expectations climbing as the cost of energy feeds into consumer goods. Pipelines across Saudi Arabia and the UAE, along with longer sea detours, provide some relief, but can only replace a fraction of lost Gulf flows. In the short term, there is no true substitute for the main corridor, and the world economy absorbs the strain. As 1/5 of global oil still depends on Hormuz, the world remains only one miscalculation away from crisis. The stakes aren't regional, they're in every tank, every market, everywhere. What's your perspective?